Aunt is an educator of the new era. She rejects consumerism, saying self-sufficiency is the path to true freedom. She dresses her niece in hand-me-downs from relatives, while her nephew wears a meticulously crafted handmade suit. She believes self-study is the ultimate way, claiming that schools are nothing but slave factories for the foolish to believe in. Not only do I have to take my 4th-grade cousin to drop out of school, but I also have to convince my cousin, who is about to take the college entrance exam, to give up on it. I couldn't stand by and watch, so I firmly intervened, but in the end, my cousin, who successfully got into college, pushed me into the lake. Die. It's all your fault that I've become a slave to society now. If it weren't for you, I'd still be free and unbound by the world, living a second life. After refusing my aunt's request for a loan, my cousin spat fiercely at me. I pity your whole family for producing a stupid pig of a slave like you, who can't even breed properly. Looking at their shabby attire, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. With a monthly salary of $30,000, is it pitiable for a family of 3 to live in a 200-square-meter house? Is it more harmonious for 4 people to squeeze into a 10-square-meter bedroom, eating and relieving themselves in the same space, like your family does? Today's college students are lazy, foolish, and arrogant, looking down on manual labor. Our whole family loves manual labor. We don't need that useless college degree. My daughter, Shireen, completely agrees with my philosophy. She took the initiative to tell me, "Mom, I agree with you. I've decided to give up the college entrance exam." What a wise choice. In today's society, scholars are utterly useless. A familiar voice reached my ears, yet I felt a chill run through my entire body. It was as if I could still feel the bone-piercing cold of the November water flooding over me. I was reborn back to the dinner night when my aunt announced that my cousin Shireen had voluntarily given up on the college entrance exam. For so many years, my aunt has always claimed to be an education scholar with unique and advanced educational philosophies. She often says in the family group chat that the school's theories are only for raising pigs, and that college students are nothing but lazy, foolish, and self-righteous slaves. Even if slaves earn a lot, it's never enough to pay for tuition, protection, fees. In the end, they barely have a penny left, living every day like a lapdog. When my children grow up, I won't let them go to school to be persecuted either. We can make our own clothes, we can grow our own vegetables. There's no need to go outside and be treated like dogs or slaves, because I am the only PhD in the family. Every time these topics come up, my aunt tags me, Fuchichi. Am I right? In my past life, I would tirelessly try to persuade her every time. Of course, school is a must. No matter what the child wants to do in the future, we have to give them the most basic right to choose. Yet every time, she would fly into a rage as if her tail had been stepped on, firing back at me with several messages in one breath. Capable people will definitely live better once they break free from the shackles of school. What I teach them is a family tradition, passed down only within the family. Something others can't learn even if they want to. I guarantee they'll never be unemployed and never go hungry. What can school offer? All it does is collect money, and more money. Mind your own business. Look at yourself, out early and back late every day, can't even find a partner, let alone get married and have kids in the future. What man would want a wife like you who doesn't know how to raise children? This time, she still singled me out. What about you, Fuchichi? You've read the most books, so you should understand best. What do you think about what I just said? I was taken aback. In my past life, as soon as my aunt finished talking about Shireen voluntarily giving up the college entrance exam, I noticed Shireen looking at me. At that moment, she bit her lip, tears welling up in her eyes. "Cousin," Shireen mouthed the words to me, her expression pleading. "I want to go to college." She tugged at her cuff. The sleeve of that garment was torn short, making her appear all the more pitiful and awkward. This aunt of mine claimed to despise consumerism the most, insisting that clothes must not be bought from outside but should be self-sufficient. Yet, while she personally tailored well-fitted suits for my cousin Shireen, she made Shireen wear nothing but hand-me-downs from relatives that no one else wanted, and she even glorified it as washing away all the formaldehyde won't cause girls to develop too early. Looking at her worn and faded clothes, I felt a surge of anger. I immediately stood up and told my aunt, "Zhang Shireen must take the college entrance exam. You can be biased on ordinary days, but this is the college entrance exam. After all, she is my sister. I can't just stand by and watch her life be ruined by someone like you, who lacks even the most basic sense of right and wrong." My aunt was naturally furious and rushed forward to hit me, barely held back by the relatives. I didn't mind at the time, because I had successfully brought Shireen to my home, kept her by my side, and escorted her throughout the entire college entrance examination. After the results came out, there was even more arguing. Shireen's grades were average, and she only got into a private university. The tuition at private universities is quite high. Even the decent ones cost $30,000 to $50,000 a year. My aunt pointed at me and cursed, saying I had wasted my education, helping outsiders swindle her family's money, and that she would never let Shireen attend that school no matter what. Fuchichi, are you out of your mind? Did studying fry your brain? It's fools like you that schools love to scam. After finishing college, you have to rent a place to live when you start working. After renting, you have to buy a house, pay for transportation, and cover food expenses. Every single thing costs money. Every single thing is a debt. I will never hand over money to enslave my own child, so you can give up on that idea. I frowned and looked at Shireen, who still had that pitiful, delicate appearance. Since I've already been accepted, how could there be any reason not to go? I've been working for a few years now, and I gritted my teeth to cover Shireen's tuition, telling her she didn't need to pay me back, just focus on her studies and be happy, and she no longer had to wear hand-me-down clothes. Students who can attend third-tier universities usually come from fairly well-off families, but what I didn't expect was that, as Shireen saw the lives she had never been a part of, her heart gradually began to change. While others travel abroad, go to other provinces for concerts, stay in 5-star hotels, and dine at Michelin and Black Pearl restaurants, she also wants to try these experiences and has started finding various ways to ask me for money. At first, I gave her the money, but as her requests became more frequent, I couldn't help but grow suspicious and decided to ask her academic advisor. It was only then that I found out she had already been advised to leave the university due to repeated absences, and she was only a freshman. Feeling anxious, I arranged to take Shireen for a walk that very evening. I asked her why she wasn't attending class properly and what she had done with all the money I had given her. Instead, she rushed over with red eyes and pushed me straight into the park's artificial lake. The artificial lake wasn't deep, but I've been afraid of water since childhood, and the pebbles at the bottom of the lake were covered in slippery moss, making it impossible for me to stand up. In the panic, I choked on several more mouthfuls of water and could only desperately call out to Shireen on the shore for help, but Shireen just stood on the shore, glaring at me fiercely. You deserve to die. It's all your fault for insisting that I take the college entrance exam back then. They're living so well. How could I not want a life like that? I borrowed money, and now I can't pay it back. If it weren't for you, how could I be in debt? My mother was right. The debts I owe are slave debts. If I hadn't gone to college, I wouldn't have ended up like this. If it weren't for you, I would be free today. My cousin, whom I had always protected, watched me drown right before her eyes. After my death, my mother, who had always cherished me, couldn't bear the blow of losing her daughter in middle age. She suffered a heart attack and soon passed away as well. Thinking of this, a chilling sorrow and the smell of water seemed to seep into every pore of my body. I couldn't help but shiver. Looking up, I once again met Shireen's eyes, filled with pleading. Auntie is right. I gritted my teeth and spoke up. Those who are capable will thrive even better after breaking free from the shackles of school. I believe that this new educational approach of yours, and is sure to nurture unique talents. Shireen's bright eyes instantly dimmed and, on the other hand, revealed a satisfied smile. Look, even the school's PhDs agree. Just wait and see what my child will achieve. Yes, I'm curious too. I wonder what achievements this family, who dropped out of school so early, will accomplish in this lifetime. As the dinner party was winding down, my uncle approached me with a glass of wine. Chi-Chi, you're a PhD. My child's studies will need your extra attention in the future. I clicked my tongue in amazement. Auntie is a great educator. Isn't she the one who looks down the most on slaves who just study hard at school? Why would you need a slave to tutor your own child now? Can't you teach them yourself? My uncle was instantly choked up by my words, his expression shifting unpredictably. In my previous life, my aunt's family saw that I had the highest education and a good job, so they wouldn't let go of such a free resource. They added me on WeChat. Both Shireen and Shurjeen, who had just started elementary school, the three of them studied the school curriculum together on their own. Whenever they encountered a problem they didn't understand, they would send me a message. From advanced mathematics to Marxism, from traditional Chinese medicine theory to atomic physics, from the origins of humanity to the ends of the world, Auntie has dabbled in it all and has passed it all on to Shireen and Shurjeen. However, skimming through everything also means being a jack of all trades and master of none. Thanks to Auntie, my cousin Shurjeen, listening to the advanced mathematics lecture from an exclusive educator since first grade, she has never passed a math exam. In my previous life, I couldn't stand it, so I bought various tutoring books and online courses for Shireen. forcing her to study, and she barely managed to get into a private university in this life. Without me, their family probably won't produce another college student. Seeing my firm attitude, completely unlike my usual submissive self, my uncle-in-law could only give up with an awkward smile. I crossed my legs, ready to watch the farce unfold at my aunt's family's expense. Who would have thought? The joke arrived even sooner than I had anticipated. 2 weeks later, I had just finished work and was about to close my laptop, then I saw the group message my aunt sent in the family chat. To all members, is there no justice anymore? My Zhang Shurjin has been bullied at school. All the relatives were shocked. My aunt's youngest son, Shurjin, just started 4th grade this year, to be bullied at school at such a young age. How serious must this be? My mother quickly and cautiously chimed in. What happened? What happened? Which child is bullying our little Shurjin at school? Auntie snorts and glares. What kid? It's the teacher, my mom. Only after she asked again did everyone understand what was really going on. Shurjin's elementary school was recently preparing for its anniversary celebration. Since the television station would be broadcasting live, the school had distributed performance outfits uniformly. Shurjin's homeroom teacher had also heard a bit about her aunt and repeatedly emphasized that the anniversary celebration was very important and that Shurjin must not cause any trouble, but something went wrong on the day of the performance. Everyone was dressed in identical little suits, except for Zhang Shurjin, who stood tall and proud in the exclusive educator's outfit his aunt had meticulously sewn for him. The TV host naturally noticed him and thought it was some intentional arrangement. Holding the microphone, the host asked him, "Why is your outfit different from the others, little friend?" Unexpectedly, Zhang Shurjin turned her head away and snorted disdainfully through her nose. "This is a dress my mom specially made for me. My mom said that only domesticated fools wear identical clothes to be recorded on camera, just like slaves in ancient times." Completely devoid of their own thoughts, the host was left speechless. At that moment, a little girl from a lower grade stepped forward, her voice still tender. "What your mom said isn't right. My mom told me that in everything we do, we should act appropriately and be polite." With her words, all the children started chattering and buzzing like a stirred-up beehive. "That's right. Who's a slave? How rude. How could his mother speak like that? Did she not go to school or receive any education? The teacher already said today is very important, yet he insists on wearing something different. He just loves being the center of attention." Seeing the chaos, the host quickly prepared to calm the situation. However, just as he raised the microphone and before he could speak, he was suddenly knocked down by Zhang Shurjin. Zhang Shurjin was different from Shurjin. Since childhood, he had been pampered by his aunt with good food, drinks, and clothes, and by a young age, he had already grown to over 130 pounds. He gathered his strength and charged forward, like a little cannonball. In an instant, he knocked the host flat on his back. This was absolutely outrageous. After the host fell to the ground, the microphone had rolled away to who knows where. Upon searching for it, they realized it had already been taken by Zhang Shurjin. The homeroom teacher had already rushed onto the stage, trying to take Zhang Shurjin away. Unfortunately, Zhang Shurjin was an undeniably agile chubby kid, and no matter how hard the teacher tried, they couldn't catch him. "You're the one who was born without a mother to raise you. Your mother is the one who speaks without any upbringing." Holding the microphone, Zhang Shurjin pointed at the first little girl who had spoken and began shouting insults. "Did your mother die a long time ago?" He spoke too harshly, and the teacher, taking advantage of his distraction, grabbed him and even slapped his palm twice. Zhang Shurjin, no nonsense, and the little girl's mother had indeed passed away. Zhang Shurjin's provocation made her immediately sit on the ground and burst into tears, one sob after another, almost to the point of gasping for breath. Her face flushed red, and Zhang Shurjin was still shouting from afar, "Your slave mother deserves to die. You deserve to die too. How dare you talk back to me? Fuck your mother. Fuck your mother." The teacher was on the verge of a breakdown and quickly contacted the parents, and as soon as the aunt arrived, she immediately rushed forward and slapped the little girl who had lost her mother. How dare she insult her noble education and her noble son? Seeing the situation take a turn for the worse, the host immediately called the police. The aunt sneered, "What can the police do when they come? I'm telling you, I'm going to withdraw my son from school." And all of this was being broadcast live on the city television station. Auntie, the educator, has completely gone viral. Studying may not directly help you cross social classes, but it is still the simplest way to enhance a child's abilities and create opportunities. I don't know what this mother is thinking. You're joking. What ability does this family have to improve? It's already good enough if they don't go out and harm others. I think dropping out is a good idea. Wait, isn't this little boy still in elementary School, isn't it illegal to not let a child receive compulsory education? This crazy person even hit someone else's child during the live stream, and you think they're afraid of breaking the law? Auntie has become an internet celebrity, black and red, still red. She saw this as recognition of her, and taking it a step further, she specifically created a self-media account to update daily about her family's everyday life. My home is dirty and messy, a complete mess, but it's truly free and unrestrained. The video was shot yesterday, posted today. Bacteria and viruses are also part of the world. Is it dirty? If it's dirty, then people poop every day, so people are even dirtier, those who clamor for cleanliness every day. Were you all born from sterile birth canals? I respect bacteria and viruses. With a snap, a video of a room filled with dust was thrown out. Curious, I clicked in, but couldn't finish watching and quickly swiped back to the homepage. This is far from just ordinary mess and filth. It's not an exaggeration to call it a garbage dump. Buying clothes is just an IQ tax. I prefer custom-made ones. She then posted the clothes she had made for Shireen and Shurjeen. The stark contrast between the exquisite and the worn-out immediately sparked an uproar among netizens. So there's a daughter too, raising the sister poorly while pampering the brother. Classic setup. Nailed it. Custom-made. Sounds fancy, more like playing dress-up at home with random scraps of fabric. A daughter's self-esteem is never a concern, but germs and viruses must be respected. Auntie isn't angry now. She sees everyone's mockery and advice as nothing but jealousy filled with a sense of superiority. She doesn't forget to condescendingly reply to each comment from her high horse. Girls who spend too much money easily become materialistic. It's better to be frugal if boys aren't raised in wealth. How will they have presents when they go out? What does my education know about being a foolish, caged slave? Is it because you don't have the money or time to make your own clothes, so you're jealous of me? Who can blame me for having something to show off? It's impossible to hide it even if I tried laughing and crying. What does it matter if the house is a mess? As long as it's comfortable, I am a free and unrestrained person. Don't judge me by other people's standards. She paid no mind to the sarcasm and insults, living each day at her own leisurely pace. Zhang Shurjeen didn't have to go to school, and he was quite content with the leisure, but Shireen wasn't having such an easy time. She had attended high school and was full of longing for the outside world. A bird that has seen lush scenery can hardly endure the darkness and dampness of a cave anymore. Shireen slit her wrist in the bathroom sink using her uncle's razor blade. When she was found, her entire body was pale and bluish, without a trace of color. When my mother called to tell me, my heart skipped a beat. A while ago, my uncle borrowed money from me. I thought it was just his gambling addiction acting up again, so I ignored it. I never imagined it was because of this. I can't say I have no feelings for Shireen. If she were just a child led astray by ignorant parents, I would still help her. But when I think about how I used all my strength to pull her out of the mud, only to be met with her merciless murder, she just watched me drown bit by bit in the water, without a shred of compassion. It's truly a real-life version of The Farmer and the Snake. Thinking of this, the last bit of sympathy in my heart completely vanished. But why did she suddenly commit suicide? Didn't say anything. I asked my mom. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone, followed by a sigh. Your aunt, she really is something. Reality is always more abstract than imagination. Simply teaching her son and daughter at home couldn't satisfy her nurturing desires. After killing countless pots of succulents, she discovered a new joy, the three pleasures of a free spirit: reading, gardening, and teasing birds. When it comes to keeping birds, one cannot settle for the ordinary. An educator must keep birds that can talk. Keep parrots. No sooner said than done. With lightning speed, Aunt quickly sold her original residential apartment and bought over 100 monk parakeets, which are strictly prohibited from private breeding by the state. Then, the whole family moved into a 50-square-meter urban village. The total area is only 50 square meters. They also had to clear out a separate space for her birds. The family of 4 slept crammed into a bedroom less than 10 square meters in size. Shireen was taking the college entrance exam this year and was already a grown girl. Now, trapped at home, she had to endure the overwhelming stench of bird droppings while her mother's precious son slept with his feet on her face. How could she possibly accept it? She could only weep every day. I thought this was the trigger that drove her to the brink, but things were not that simple. My aunt prided herself on never falling into the consumer trap set by capitalism. Unlike those educated fools, I love buying cheap stuff on Pinduoduo. 5 yuan per pound of milk powder, 3 yuan water bottles. These are the choices of highly intelligent people. You bought it at a higher price, then you must be the biggest fool in the world. Under my aunt's social media account, there are always people saying she favors sons Over daughters, how could Auntie bear such slander? To show that she is a good mother who values her daughter more, Auntie forced Shireen to drink a cup of hot milk made from 5 yuan milk powder in a 3 yuan cup every day and then post it on social media. Unfortunately, Auntie reads organic chemistry and advanced mathematics every day, yet they didn't know that PVC plastic is not food grade. Every time hot water was added to the cup, it would emit a pungent odor. Shireen had indeed raised concerns. But each time, her aunt dismissed them without a second thought. What poison? I think you've been brainwashed by society. Your mind is poisoned. Soon, Shireen began experiencing adverse reactions such as dizziness and vomiting. Her aunt simply assumed she was pretending to be sick to avoid doing chores. Not only did she refuse to take her to the hospital, but she also subjected her to constant scolding and beatings. You seem to have caught the laziness bug from outside, lazy, foolish, and self-righteous, yet unwilling to do physical labor. I love physical labor, at least it means I'm not being exploited. Let me tell you, if you don't agree with my views, you don't deserve to live in my house. My home doesn't support vampires or parasites. Shireen also chimed in, adding fuel to the fire with wild gestures. Parasite, idiot, get out of my house. Shireen, already suffering from mild plastic poisoning, was feeling unwell. She was also subjected to her mother's insults and her brother's mockery every day. She had to endure the deafening and piercing cries of birds. After just a few days of this, she could no longer bear it and slit her wrists in the bathroom. This is just too. After hearing this, I couldn't help but click my tongue in amazement. My mother sighed again. Shireen was saved. She's also a pitiful soul. Your father and I thought we'd go over tonight to bring her some fruit. You should come along too. The hospital where Shireen is staying is right next to my workplace. As her cousin, I really should go and see her no matter what. Since I had muted the family group chat a long time ago, I hadn't paid any attention to that bizarre family of four for 2 months. Little did I know, the moment I stepped through the door, I was so startled that I let out a holy crap. What caught my eye was Shireen's bare buttocks from the front. Auntie had no interest in looking at Shireen, who was lying on the hospital bed. Instead, she was pulling down the pants of her 9-year-old son, proudly showing off his impressive fruit to everyone. Seeing me arrive, she quickly waved me over to join in praising her new educational achievement. Shireen has been spending these months at home with me, gardening, raising birds, and studying advanced mathematics, all while eating organic food. Come and feel it. Look, hasn't it grown several times bigger? As she spoke, she tried to pull me over to touch her son's little treasure. I quickly stepped back and withdrew my hand, feeling so disgusted that my soul almost left my body. No, you did a great job showcasing it. Next time, just don't show it to us. It's so big, it's really disgusting. As soon as the words left my mouth, I thought to myself, it's over. How could someone as proud as my aunt possibly allow me to insult her precious son? Insulting her son is essentially insulting her. Sure enough, her eyebrows shot up, and she immediately jumped to her feet. You're just flaunting your high education all day long, so aloof and superior, yet you're getting on in years without a partner and can't even have children. How dare you speak up? A slave without even freedom dares to mock me, a free person. Did Liang Jingru give you the courage? Aren't you just sour grapes because you can't get what you want, craving a man? Since you won't be able to touch one yourself in the future, why not beg me more and let you have a taste first? Oh my goodness, it's like a small knife cutting the butt. Truly eye-opening. It's all my fault for being too educated. I've never seen such a level of insanity. Before I could respond, my mom stepped forward and started arguing with her. Who would want to touch your son's thing? Should that thing be shown or touched by a young girl? Don't you, as an adult, know that? And you're even cursing at people. Usually, I don't mind you acting crazy, but let me tell you, no one is allowed to insult my daughter. Watching my mother's back, and indescribable bitterness welled up in my heart. In this lifetime, I won't let anyone have the chance to hurt my family again. My aunt was in a heated argument with my mom. Shireen didn't back down either, turning the spearhead toward me. With a stinky slave like you who only knows how to study dead books, I pity your whole family, sold and still helping count the money. Pa. I really couldn't figure it out, unable to hold back. I burst out laughing. Poor me, with a monthly salary of 30,000, living in a 200 square meter house with a family of 3, it's just too desolate. Surely it's not as joyful as your family of 4 cramming into a 10 square meter bedroom to sleep. The chubby kid let out a scream and charged at me. In my past life, I had been knocked over by his sister once, and I had seen him ram into people on TV. How could I not be on guard? I quickly dodged aside. Shireen crashed headfirst into the wall, then slid to the ground, rolling around frantically while crying and screaming, "Wah wah wah, she's trying to kill me, cousin wants to kill me, that stupid pig is trying to kill me, my head is bleeding, my head hurts so much, I have a concussion, mom, that bitch Fuchichi is trying to kill me." I widen my eyes, "Wow, you little fat brat, don't think that just because you haven't been to school and can eat whatever you want, you can talk nonsense. You bumped into him yourself, everyone saw it, my aunt didn't care what I said at all." She was about to pounce on me, baring her teeth and claws to avenge her son, but before she could pounce, my mom grabbed her tightly. "Our ward is too noisy." The nurse knocked on the door, but before she could say anything, a sharp cry was heard, "Can you all stop making noise? Get out." It was Shireen. I only just noticed her on the sickbed. Unlike in my past life, where I provided for and cared for her, now she is emaciated and pale. No wonder I hadn't paid her any attention. At this moment, Shireen was curled up on the hospital bed, just a small, huddled figure. I frowned, stepped forward, and gently lifted her hand, then couldn't help but gasp sharply. The stitched scar lay like a thick, ugly centipede, lurking on her slender wrist. "Cousin," she called out softly, and my heart ached. "Shireen is a pitiful person. I truly feel sorry for her. Can you help me?" Shireen's voice was as faint as a mosquito's hum. She lowered her head, and bean-sized teardrops fell onto the hospital sheets that had been washed with bleach countless times, leaving large, spreading water stains. I bit my lip and sent her a location and a string of numbers on WeChat. "Wait for me a few days. I need to think about it. You can leave the hospital now. Come straight to my place. Here's the passcode. I want to help her." The location I left for Shireen is the apartment distributed by the company. I only lived there for a little over a month, but there are daily necessities available. Although the house is not big, it is enough for her to live in. I want to give her a sum of money, so she can have the right to choose her own life. At least she won't have to sacrifice her entire life because of an ignorant mother. If she goes down the wrong path again, then I'll simply stop caring about her, I thought to myself. And another 10 days or half a month passed. I asked my mom and confirmed that Shireen had been discharged from the hospital for a few days. After work, I drove back to the house I had left for her to live in. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw the door wide open. My heart skipped a beat as I walked inside. The scene inside the room left me utterly shocked. Televisions and projectors have all vanished without a trace. Even the pots, pans, oil, salt, soy sauce, and vinegar I left in the room were all gone. "Well done, Zhang Shireen." I was so angry I laughed, and immediately went to the property management to check the surveillance footage. As expected, my cousin, whom I was determined to help, moved in with my uncle and aunt and emptied my entire house. I called the police. When the police arrived, Shireen still rushed forward trying to hug me, but I dodged her. "Cousin, believe me, it wasn't me. I never even went to the address you gave me. Really, it has nothing to do with me, sis." I'm actually so angry I could laugh. "No, you're the one who's my sister. Your mom and your whole family are uneducated, and you're uneducated too. There are absolutely no blind spots in this residential area. Didn't you know?" Only then did she stand there, utterly mortified, but my aunt still wouldn't let it go. "I think you've read all your books right into a dog's belly. How dare you call the police on your own aunt? Have you no shame at all?" I was utterly astonished. "Am I crazy, reading books into your son's stomach? I have a face, you keep yours. I think your whole family either doesn't have one, or it's especially thick." My aunt was furious with me. She took a few steps forward, ready to hit me again. The police officer cleared his throat, and she barely managed to stand still. Before leaving, Shireen secretly tugged at the hem of my clothes again. "I was really forced into it," she said. I looked into her eyes, which were as pitiful as ever, and gently brushed her hand away. "I am always willing to be tolerant of children who make mistakes. Past life, present life, 2 lifetimes in total. Does she really not understand whether I am truly doing what's best for her? What a pity ungrateful and treacherous individuals are not within the scope of my tolerance. I had already betrayed my past self by pitying her again, seeing how pitiful she was. If I show her mercy now, I would truly be a fool who forgets the pain after the wound heals. Breaking and entering, illegal breeding. All the monk parrots raised by my aunt were confiscated, and she had to pay a hefty fine. The police told them to return the items they had stolen from my house during the burglary, but they had already sold them off for money and spent it all they had to scrape together money from everywhere and borrow from others to finally gather enough to give to me. Don't get too cocky, Fuchichi. Even though Zhang Shireen is useless, my son is incredibly diligent and eager to learn. When handing over the money, my aunt glared at me out of the corner of her eye, practically lifting her chin to the sky. Zhang Shirjin, who came to pick them up, also pursed his lips and tilted his head high. "That's right. With my mom, I'll never go hungry in my life, but a fool Like he was destined to work for others forever. I watched their arrogant figures as they walked away. I really couldn't figure out what prospects that big-headed, chubby kid could possibly have. 10 years passed quickly before my aunt could show us how promising her son really was. Her family ran into trouble again. This time, it was Shireen again. My cousin Shireen had once again chosen to end her life, only this time she jumped from the 15th floor. Heaven did not give her another chance to change her mind. Just as my body sank into the water in my previous life, her body slammed onto the ground, and the trigger that drove her to death this time was almost identical to the one when she was 18. Her aunt forced her to do daily chores for both her and her uncle. If they were even slightly dissatisfied, they would either beat or scold her. She said she had learned bad habits from me and wanted to go out like me, to be a foolish donkey paying social protection fees. Shireen's high school classmates had long since moved on to new lives, graduating from university, working, and getting married, yet she remained the same, year after year. For decades, she could only stay cooped up in a sunless urban village every day, enduring the insults and beatings from her mother, who favored sons over daughters. She left a letter for me, threatening my aunt with a curse from a vengeful spirit. She forced her to hand the letter over to me. I opened the envelope to find Shireen's elegant handwriting. Cousin, seeing these words is like seeing me in person. First, I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I probably hurt your trust in me. You might have genuinely wanted to help me, but I can no longer tell who is trustworthy. My mom said that, in the end, you are an outsider. I think so too. Family members wouldn't harm me, after all, but I really can't go on living. Actually, I've always been jealous of you. Your family's situation is better than mine, and your parents are open-minded and kind, unlike my parents, who wouldn't even let me take the college entrance exam. I often wonder, am I a person, or just a sacrifice my mother felt was necessary? I'm really sorry, sis. I shouldn't have brought mom and dad to ruin your home, but dad saw my phone. You know, he's gambling. Sometimes I also think, if you had helped me earlier from the start, so I could live like a person too, like you said, have my own life, would my ending have been different? Her words were filled with anguish, as if spoken with utmost sincerity, but in the past life, just as she said, I reached out to help her from the very beginning, giving her the best conditions I could offer, but what she got in return was the fate of being sunk to the bottom of the water. He won't, I whispered softly. He took a lighter out of his pocket, lit the letter, and watched the ashes scatter in the air. Shireen only wanted to live well herself, no matter what others did. Her true nature would never change. Ungrateful, holding grudges but forgetting kindness, that was her true character. She and her aunt's family are actually no different in temperament. After 2 lifetimes, I have long seen it clearly. I hope you can be reborn into a good family in your next life. I looked up at the sky. Maybe next time, I can truly have a life like everyone else. I attended Shireen's funeral. I don't know if it's because they think I was the one who caused Shireen's death. My aunt's resentful gaze stayed fixed on me the whole time, but I really couldn't be bothered to deal with her, so I just wanted to leave. After the funeral, before leaving, I overheard my aunt saying to Zhang Shijin, who is almost an adult, your sister couldn't go on living because she spent too much time studying. She went crazy from all that schooling and was even afraid of living. I provided her with good food and drink, and she didn't even have to go out to work. What stress, what psychological issues, it's all lies. You definitely won't end up like that. You are the child I have taught with all my heart. You will surely make something of yourself. Only not long after, my aunt's hopes were dashed once again, because just after turning 18, Zhang Shijin took out an online loan. Hello, do you know Zhang Shijin? I was holding the phone, not quite processing it yet. The person on the other end impatiently repeated. I said, you know Zhang Shijin, right? Don't give me any excuses. He listed your number as his emergency contact. He borrowed 20,000 yuan and it's already overdue, if you don't, before he could finish, I hung up the phone with a twitching corner of my mouth. The most impressive thing about Zhang Shijin, could it be that he just filled in my name and phone number in the loan guarantor section? I opened the family group chat and, sure enough, I wasn't the only one who had received a debt collection call. My aunt, who usually loves to loudly promote her educational ideas, had surprisingly gone silent. It was only after my mom and I asked around that we found out, since Shiyin's death, the comment section of my aunt's social media account had been filled with criticism directed at her. Absolutely failed education. What's even more detestable is spreading such ideas. She already caused her daughter's death, yet she's still making a fuss on the internet for who knows what reason. Black question mark. Her ongoing series, Day XX of Shijin's baby taking a break from school, has also drawn skepticism from many. If a child faces unfair treatment, they can negotiate with the school or the education bureau to transfer and protect their rights, hiding the child at home like a coward. What's the point of being so stubborn? You're really a new fan, daring to believe what she says. Clearly, it's her son who's the troublemaker, bullying and insulting others, and he's the one being treated unfairly. Talk about the guilty party filing the complaint first. All day long, she claims to be a free spirit, yet she locks her child at home and won't let them go to school. It's laughable. She drove one daughter to her death, and now she's happy, right? Her son will be driven to death by her too. How can you say she would drive her son to death? In a fit of anger, Auntie bought Shurjin a 1,000 yuan phone and immediately posted the purchase record online. I bought my son a phone specifically for playing King of Glory. He always uses my phone to play, and his ranking progress is slow. Dad is already at king rank, while he's still stuck at the bottom. I bought him a new phone. Go play. We are free now, meaning we don't have to be bound by any restrictions. I really look forward to my son reaching king rank, but the freedom went a bit too far. After Shurjin got his own phone, he completely discovered a new world, car, bag, beauty. The sudden wealth of the poor is nothing more than this. It truly is a dazzling world of chaos. And Shurjin was completely immersed in this new reality, but without money, how can one be happy? You still have to buy skins to play Honor of Kings. His gaze gradually locked onto the words tap lightly, quick approval. Just like someone who has tried drugs once, he clicked that approval button over and over again. Can't click the buttons on this platform, then switch to another one until the very end. Shurjin couldn't withdraw a single cent and couldn't plug a single leak, but the borrowed money can't just not be repaid, right? How dare you borrow so much money? What did you spend it all on? Aunt's household was in chaos for a while. In the end, grumbling and cursing, she paid off the debt for her precious son. Thus far, Aunt's dream of having a promising son was completely shattered. How could such a good child have gone astray and done such a terrible thing? It must be your fault. Auntie, along with the now-grown Shurjin, went to find that elementary school from back then. So many years had passed. The teachers and principal at the elementary school had long since changed several times, with no one to turn to. She could only throw a tantrum at the school gate. It's all because of the useless teachers you idiots hired. If they weren't so stupid and weak, my child wouldn't have been wronged. If it weren't for you fools, why would I not send my child to school? It's all your fault that my child ended up like this today, getting worked up over what I said. She also grabbed a child's mother at random and was about to hit her. As it turned out, the child's father was a burly man, standing right there. Seeing his wife being bullied, he quickly stepped forward and kicked the aunt 3 meters away with one foot. When Shurjin saw her mother being beaten, her first reaction was to scream and quickly run away. Auntie realized that the parent was not someone to be trifled with. She hurriedly took her well-educated son and slumped back home in disgrace. Her daughter, who had no prospects, committed suicide. The son is also useless. Good for nothing. Auntie's eyes rolled around, her gaze settling on her husband. Honey, it's my first time being a mom, so it's normal to make some mistakes. Since the eldest is no good, if the main account doesn't work out, then you can only train a side account. With this idea in mind, Shurjin was completely left to his own devices. Auntie never bothered with Shurjin again, focusing solely on conceiving a precious son with her husband and starting over with his upbringing. Her parenting style, of course, couldn't be wrong. Ultimately, it all comes down to the child not being good enough. In the end, my aunt still couldn't conceive a second child. She was stabbed to death by Zhang Shurjin. After regaining freedom with his phone, Zhang Shurjin fell back into online lending. With the experience from last time, he naturally assumed that his own mother would always have his back, but his aunt refused. Of course, when you're already preparing to start a new account, who cares about a main account that's already been abandoned? Yet this stark difference in attitude, how could Shurjin possibly accept this? Since childhood, his aunt had instilled in him the belief that you are different from the foolish slaves of schooling. All these years, Shurjin had always believed that he was inherently superior to children who studied. That's why he could speak arrogantly to the host, teachers, and little girl during the school anniversary performance. He could feel no sorrow after his sister Shireen passed away. He even believed she deserved to die, because she was a foolish slave who had been stupefied by education. Shurjin's mind had long been utterly twisted, but the aunt, who was completely focused on her new son, how could she possibly notice that his expression had already changed? Go out and work to pay off the debt yourself. I have no obligation to help you anymore. Faced with Shurjin's request, her aunt didn't even look up, focused solely on trimming her own nails. You're already 18, still thinking of mooching off your parents. I didn't have a child just to pay back. She probably still wanted to bring up that old theory of debt of servitude, but her once beloved son did not give her that chance. Jean, holding the fruit knife she used to peel apples for him, plunged it into her body. A sharp pain surged through her. Auntie instantly fell silent. She slid off the sofa, struggling to get up, but couldn't manage it, and standing in the kitchen, witnessing everything, was her uncle. He immediately chose to flee through the door. He didn't even call an ambulance for her Aunt Jean. Jean still wanted to kill and flee. Unfortunately, with his intelligence, he couldn't escape the punishment of the law. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. The son that Aunt, the great educator, loved and cared for the most, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. As for me, in this life, I was not held back by my aunt's eccentric family. After working for 2 years, I felt that I was still more suited for scientific research. I returned to my undergraduate university and became a postdoctoral researcher. Later, I was invited to give an educational lecture at an elementary school. A parent stood up and asked me, "Hello, what is your view on the uselessness of education theory promoted by internet influencers? Is mandatory learning an unjust measure for children who do not want to study?" I thought about my aunt's family. I looked up at the parent and said, "When we rely on influencers to introduce products and consider them cultured just by hearing a few words they say, we should ask ourselves whether we possess the ability to judge and think independently." Education does not merely impart a few types of knowledge, it teaches people how to correctly understand the world and engage with society. Only when we pay as much attention to wrongful convictions and miscarriages of justice as we do to celebrities and influencers can we achieve the greatest possible fairness. Fairness is never reflected in the trivial details of forced comparisons. The entire audience erupted in thunderous applause. Beyond imparting knowledge, schools serve an even more crucial purpose, that is, within such a simulated society, to teach people how to properly handle events. Poor academic performance is not something to fear, it's terrifying when one fails to learn how to be a decent person. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My best friend wanted to exchange her family heirloom jade pendant for my protective talisman, but I refused, because I was reborn, the luck that was taken from me in my past life. This time, I'll guard it well. When I accidentally saw the emerald green jade pendant around Lydia's neck, I gasped at its beauty. "Jessica, I'll give it to you." When Lydia said this again, I no longer reacted with the same surprise and eagerness as I had in my previous life. I solemnly told Lydia, "A noble person does not take what others cherish." My praise for the jade pendant was merely pure admiration. A flicker of coldness passed through Lydia's eyes, her gaze subtly lingering on the amulet around my neck. I immediately turned around, blocking her line of sight. Just the thought of this malicious woman laying eyes on my belongings makes me physically nauseous. A moment later, she regained her smiling expression and said to me, "I have 2 of these jade pendants, I'll give you one, so we each have one. If you really feel bad about it, you can trade it for the amulet around your neck." I sneered inwardly. Lydia's calculations were truly cunning. "No need, your jade pendant is priceless, while my protective charm is worthless. I can't take advantage of you." In my previous life, it wasn't until my death that I learned Lydia's ancestors had committed countless evil deeds, leaving her with inherently poor fortune, frail health, and a short lifespan. Her family had exhausted all means to find women with exceptional luck to alter her fate, and that jade pendant was the key to her destiny-changing scheme. The jade pendants come in a pair, one mother and one child. The person wearing the mother pendant will have their fortune drained and transferred to the one wearing the child pendant. I pondered why I was chosen. It was because she could both make me willingly accept her pendant and take away my protective talisman. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Last time, I couldn't resist the temptation. Lydia swapped the mother pendant for my protective talisman, and my tragic life began from that moment. From being universally recognized as a lucky charm to becoming a jinx everyone avoided, it took only half a year. During this time, Lydia altered her fortune, becoming increasingly beautiful. She stole my boyfriend, took my research achievements, landed a great job after graduation, married her ideal husband, and lived a blissful life. As for me, without the protective charm and with my fortune drained, my health deteriorated, and my vitality was gradually consumed. My boyfriend broke up with me because I grew unattractive. My stolen research led to 3 failed blind reviews of my thesis, resulting in expulsion from school, and the job I had secured fell through because I couldn't graduate. It was like triggering a domino effect. One small change set off a chain reaction. After being expelled from school, I stayed at home all day, wallowing in depression and avoiding people, which led to constant arguments between my parents. In a fit of anger, my father Stormed out, got into a car accident that killed someone, and was severely injured himself. He passed away shortly after being hospitalized. My mother and I sold our house to pay off debts, but she soon succumbed to depression and passed away, leaving me completely alone in the world. Later, I was scammed out of all my money while job hunting, harassed by thugs when trying to make a living as a street vendor, and encountered a perverted landlord while renting. Eventually, I even fell into prostitution and became addicted to drugs. In the end, tormented by both physical and psychological pain, I found myself standing on the rooftop at the brink of death. Lydia appeared, waiting for me to take my last breath. After I passed, she took back the jade pendant and whispered all the past events into my ear. It turned out that every misfortune I had encountered was orchestrated by her. Her goal was to drive me to despair. Only by my death could she rest easy and enjoy the lifetime of good fortune that was meant to be mine. In the minutes after my last breath, my senses remained, and I shed tears of regret, but it was already too late to change anything. As my senses faded, I saw the old Taoist priest who had given me the protective charm in my childhood. He sighed mournfully. The little one didn't listen to me. That's right, the old Taoist priest had said that the talisman could protect me from harm for life. He lightly tapped my forehead, and I fell into an endless slumber. When I woke again, I had actually returned to the day when Lydia exchanged the jade pendant for my protective talisman. This time, I will guard my own life. I silently returned to my seat, feeling a knot in my heart at the thought of sharing a room with someone like that. However, as I glanced at the other two roommates amusing themselves, a hint of warmth flickered in my eyes. In my previous life, they had helped me when I was in dire straits, but a scammer took all the money they had given me when I was job hunting. Perhaps my luck was being drained, creating a siphon effect. In my past life, anyone close to me would inevitably suffer misfortune. This time, I'll be the one to protect these precious people in my life. Lunchtime. Lydia leaned in, still wearing a cheerful smile, though her sidelong glances were fixed on my protective charm. Jessica, let's go to the cafeteria together. I showed her my phone, where my boyfriend had texted me on WeChat saying he wanted to have lunch with me. She looked disappointed. Oh, I see. All right then. Staring at the chat messages on WeChat, I felt sick to my stomach. After the scumbag dumped me to be with Lydia, he even deliberately came to flaunt it in front of me. How disgusting. 2 minutes after Lydia left, I followed her out the door. Cafeteria. I saw Lydia alone, so I brought Damien over to her. Hi. Damien greeted Lydia politely. At this point there was nothing improper between them yet, but, since in the previous life there was mutual affection, I naturally had to give them a push. After all, a bitch and a dog are a perfect match. After dinner, the three of us walked together toward the dormitory. Lydia, aren't you supposed to pick up the girls' anniversary uniforms at noon? Lydia nodded, checked her phone, and felt a bit disappointed when she saw no reply. She frowned anxiously. I originally found a male helper, but he hasn't replied to me yet. I can't carry them all back by myself. I knew exactly who she was referring to. It was Lucas, the school heartthrob whom Lydia had been pursuing for a long time. Every time she pretends to be pitiful and shamelessly goes to Lucas for help, but Lucas only sticks to the rules. He does what he's supposed to and nothing more. Seeing how anxious she looked, I, being very understanding, glanced at Damien beside me. Why don't you go help Lydia? Damien frowned at me. But I still have to carry your water bottle for you. I can carry the water bottle myself. Go help Lydia instead. Lydia politely declined, but as such a considerate girl, I naturally insisted that Damien play the role of her protector for once. So, in the end, the two of them went together, watching their retreating figures. A mocking smile curled at the corners of my lips, and a flash of ruthlessness flickered in my eyes. This time, I was determined to make these two pay the price. 40 minutes later, Lydia collected the anniversary celebration outfits, and I helped her distribute them to the other dormitories. As I walked through each dorm, memories from my past life surfaced in my mind. I gazed fondly at the classmates who had once helped me. In that previous life, none of them had fared well. This time, I resolved to help as many as I could. During the lunch break, I had a nightmare. I dreamed of the desperate moments in my past life when I was addicted to drugs. I suddenly woke up in a cold sweat, my whole body icy, and then came down with a fever. I texted Damien, and he went to buy medicine for me. Lydia, Damien is downstairs. He bought medicine for me. Could you grab it for me? For the next few days, I claimed illness and stayed in bed. Lydia, Damien bought me some food. Can you help bring it up? Lydia, Damien got me some boiled water. Can you help bring it up? For several days in a row, it was Lydia who helped me interact with Damien. At first, everything was normal, until Valentine's Day. Lydia, it's Valentine's Day today. Damien bought me a gift. Can you help me get it? Lydia went downstairs and came back up with flowers and chocolates. She was noticeably happier than usual. Shaking the unopened small gift in her hand, she said to me, "Your Damien really knows how to play the game." To show his gratitude to me, he even prepared a little gift for me. Looking at Lydia's expression, I thought to myself, the fish are about to take the bait. A man only behaves when he's hung on the wall. I curled my lips, feigning blissful sweetness. He's always been like that. Right now, I need to praise Damien to the skies. To catch a fish, one must first cast the bait. From then on, I occasionally created opportunities for them to be alone together. After several interactions, the way they looked at each other had clearly changed. I knew the time had come. In April, the class organized a group spring outing. The activity was horseback riding on an artificial grassland not far from the city. With an overnight stay planned, during the day, we reveled freely, cheering and exulting on horseback, while at night, the classmates gathered together to eat, sing, and drink. At the end, for the first time, I called out to classmate Lucas, because Lucas shared a room with Damien, while I shared a room with Lydia. Lucas turned to look at me, waiting for what I had to say. I spoke up. "Could you do me a favor?" "What kind of help?" I asked classmate Lucas to help carry the drunk Damien to their room. As soon as we entered the room, Damien vomited, instantly filling the space with an indescribable odor. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, I said, "Sorry about this, Lucas. Let me clean up the room first. Maybe you could step outside for some fresh air before coming back in. Also, could you please go to the nearby supermarket and buy a bottle of honey?" Lucas's dark eyes glanced at me, inscrutable and unfathomable. My nerves were on edge, and just when I thought he would refuse, he nodded. After he left, I quickly cleaned up the scene, took the room key, left the door slightly ajar, and hurried away. I knew Lydia had ulterior motives toward Lucas, and she would soon arrive in this room. When I returned to the room and didn't see Lydia, I curled my lips and immediately left to intercept Lucas. He couldn't go back so quickly. I went to find Lucas and saw him leaning against the railing by the basketball court, hands in his pockets, legs crossed, his deep eyes fixed on me. For a moment, I actually felt a bit exposed under his gaze. After hesitating for a while, I approached him. Noticing his empty hands, I smiled and asked, "Did you buy the honey? If not, I'll go get it now." Lucas stared at me quietly, making my scalp tingle slightly. I saw everything. Lucas suddenly spoke up. Before I could react, I looked up at him blankly. He was a head taller than me, and asked, What?" Drugging. With a loud thud, my heart was violently struck, and my eyes instantly widened as I stared at Lucas. My lips pressed tightly together as if trying to discern something from his expression. After locking eyes with him for a moment, I nervously averted my gaze and stammered, "I don't understand what you're talking about." Feeling flustered and unsure of what to do, I wanted to escape, but the moment I took a step, Lucas grabbed my hand. Lucas said to me, "I arranged the room." I was puzzled. "What do you mean? Can't you see it's obvious? I'm helping you." My heart was shaken. So Lucas was also reborn. So in this life, he and I, who originally had no connection, became entangled. I only knew that Lydia married her ideal husband, but I didn't realized that the ideal husband was Lucas, and in the end, after Lucas's luck was completely drained by Lydia, he also met a tragic fate. I stared blankly at Lucas, and he looked back at me, as if meeting a kindred spirit in another dimension, colliding into each other's souls. After a long silence, he broke it. "Let's go." To inspect the results, opening the door, a strong scent of lust filled the air, nauseating, revolting. I turned on the light and walked toward the lump on the bed, though mentally prepared. My hand holding the phone still trembled uncontrollably, but only for a second. Remembering everything from my past life, I suddenly calmed down. I pulled back the covers, started recording a video, and watched the two entangled figures on the bed with complete detachment. Under the combined influence of alcohol and aphrodisiacs, the bed was a scene of debauchery. I watched as if observing two beasts, my heart utterly calm. Suddenly, everything went dark. A large hand covered my eyes, and a clean, magnetic voice whispered in my ear, "Don't look, it's filthy." I gently pushed his hand away. "It's fine, I can handle it." A full 2 minutes passed before the person on the bed slowly regained consciousness. When Damien saw me and Lucas, his face was filled with panic. Lydia let out a loud scream, grabbing the blanket to tightly cover herself. "I'm sorry, Jessica. I drank too much," Damien said painfully. Clutching his head, I put away my phone, pinched myself hard, squeezed out some tears, and struggled to put on a show of being heartbroken. "Damien, since this has already happened, you must take responsibility as a man should. Let's break up." With tears streaming down my face, I finished speaking in a pitiful tone and ran out. Damien and Lydia were completely naked under the covers, so Damien could only shout my name in frustration, unable to come out and look for me. Lydia was sobbing quietly under the covers. Once I stepped outside, I immediately stopped crying. and curled my lips into a smirk. Let the trashy couple stay locked together forever. All the classmates lived on this floor. Because of Lydia's loud shout, everyone went to their room and witnessed the scene. Perfect. Now they have no way to talk their way out of it. After this incident, Damien approached me multiple times, but each time I insisted he take responsibility for Lydia, saying that what happened under the influence of alcohol wasn't entirely his fault. I finally managed to break free from Damien, but Lydia and I share the same dorm, so we inevitably cross paths all the time. I had a deep conversation with Lydia, telling her, Lydia, even though you're the victim, I still can't get past this in my heart, so let's keep our distance from now on. Lydia was deeply affected by what happened last time, and on top of feeling guilty towards me, staying in the dorm meant enduring gossip, so she moved out. I've finally rid myself of that scumbag and that trashy girl. During a professional class, Lydia and Damien, who had been absent for 2 weeks, made a high-profile entrance holding hands. I wasn't the least bit surprised by this situation. After class, the couple walked towards me hand in hand. Damien turned his face away, avoiding eye contact, while Lydia greeted me. I smiled gracefully, without a trace of resentment, merely reminding her, Lydia, why has your skin deteriorated so much recently? Lydia widened her eyes, touching her face with her hand, her brow clouded with gloom, but in an instant, she lifted her small face and forced a bitter smile. Perhaps I haven't been resting well at night lately. With those words, the two hurriedly left, watching her retreating figure in disarray. I curled my lips in a mocking smile. It must be because she hasn't found the source of her luck in time. I reached up to touch my skin, and because I've distanced myself from those scumbags and toxic people, my mood has improved, and my skin has also gotten better as a result. I then touched the amulet around my neck, feeling completely secure. However, Lydia's luck is running out, and she will definitely try to pass on the Mother Jade pendant as soon as possible. I need to watch out for who the next victim might be. That day, I was video chatting with my mother in the dorm, watching her drink water. I suddenly felt thirsty too. I reached for my water glass, but accidentally knocked it to the floor with my elbow. Crash! The glass shattered instantly. Another crash followed. On the video call, my mother's glass had also broken. I frowned. Mom, are you okay? It's nothing, just broke a cup. What about you? I smiled and replied, I accidentally knocked my water glass onto the floor too. After chatting with my mother for a while, I ended the video call, my hand pressed against my chest, my heartbeat racing at more than twice its usual pace. A bad premonition washed over me. Since my rebirth, every step had gone exceptionally smoothly. This kind of palpitation was something I'd never experienced in either this life or the last. I tried my best to ignore the discomfort in my heart, stood up, and left the dorm to get some fresh air. On the tree-lined path, a radiant girl smiles brightly as she greets me from afar. Jessica. I force a strained smile and watch the girl approaching closer. The emerald green pendant around her neck glows vividly, like the piercing eyes of a beast staring at me. Impossible to ignore. That was Kate, the wealthy heiress from the neighboring dorm, who rarely came to school. Something suddenly flashed through my mind. If it weren't for my protective amulet, Lydia's primary target might have been Kate, so now, Lydia has settled for targeting Kate instead. Kate. I steadied my mind and greeted her with a smile, my gaze sweeping over the jade pendant on her neck. Your pendant is so beautiful, just as lovely as Lydia's. Kate beamed brightly, touching the pendant on her neck. This was a gift from Lydia. Just as I thought. In my past life, Kate and I didn't interact much, but she had also helped me financially. If my rebirth were to harm her, I would feel guilty for the rest of my life, both emotionally and logically. I should help her. I pondered whether this jade pendant would be harmless as long as it wasn't worn. I glanced at Kate's delicate princess dress. It's just that the jade pendant looks a bit old-fashioned with your dress. Kate smiled. Lydia said this jade pendant has a spiritual nature and shouldn't be worn and removed at will, so I've kept it on all the time. This Lydia is really full of tricks. We chatted for a while and then prepared to leave. As Kate turned to go, I called out to her, Kate, are you coming to the class dinner after the final exams? Kate turned her head to look at me and said with a smile, it's a rare group activity. I have to be there. All right, see you then. I waved with a smile, bidding her farewell. Turning around, the smile vanished instantly. Taking out my phone, I sent a message to Lucas. I need your help. Kate put on that jade pendant. We need to quickly come up with a plan, preferably to destroy such an evil object once and for all. On the day of the final exam, I saw Lydia. I greeted her with a smile. You've been in great shape lately, glowing with energy. Lydia lifted her confident, beautiful face and replied proudly, thank you. I examined Lydia's smooth and delicate skin, secretly shocked. This jade pendant was truly an evil object. In just a few days, Lydia's condition had actually improved compared To before, my hand at my side clenched slightly tighter. Today's plan had to be foolproof, so I sent another message to Lucas, carefully confirming today's plan and the backup plan in case of failure. The last exam was finished in the morning. During lunch, Kate and I sat on either side of Lydia. I looked up and met Lucas's gaze at the next table. He gave a slight nod, understanding. I turned back, stood up, and distributed cups to Lydia, Kate, and the other classmates, pouring drinks for everyone. Near the end of lunch, Kate suddenly felt dizzy and lost consciousness. Lucas and I helped her to the school infirmary. The doctor said it was just ordinary anemia and that an 4 of glucose would fix it. After Kate fell asleep in the hospital bed, I stepped out of the ward, clutching the jade pendant Lydia had given Kate. I headed straight for the restroom. I felt slightly uneasy. Perhaps because I had experienced the malevolence of the jade pendant in my past life. Just holding it gave me a burning sensation. It had to be destroyed as soon as possible. Just as I was about to act, my phone kept vibrating. Frowning, I opened it to see a WeChat message from Lucas. He was frantically bombarding me with messages. Jessica, have you destroyed the jade pendant? Have you done it? Stop it now. The jade pendant must not be damaged. They've already bartered and formed an exchange. The deal is done. Destroying it would be pointless. Come back quickly. I looked at the jade pendant in my hand, feeling shocked. It can't be destroyed. Then how can this matter be resolved? Lucas also said that wearing this master jade pendant for more than half a year would directly form a death contract. My heart sank to the bottom. Kate has been wearing it for over a month. The exhaustion on her face that she can't conceal shows how much her body has been affected, even though the dosage given to her and Lydia was the same. Kate had an early reaction while Lydia remained unaffected. I pressed my lips together, carefully put away the jade pendant, and returned to the ward. As soon as I entered the ward, I saw Lydia lying beside Kate. I silently asked Lucas, asleep? Lucas nodded, raised the jade pendant in his hand, and pointed at Kate's neck. I instantly understood what he meant, so we exchanged the jade pendants between Kate and Lydia. After doing this, I looked at him curiously and asked, "Who told you this method?" Lucas's expression had relaxed considerably compared to before. He said, "After you came to me last time, I went to Moon Temple to find that very capable abbot. Unfortunately, he was away on a trip, but I left my contact information. They just happened to reach out to me. Once both jade pendants are worn simultaneously, a contract is formed, and destroying them would be futile." I nodded. "So it seems even heaven is helping us. Is the abbot of Moon Temple very powerful?" Lucas shook his head. "I don't know either. I touched the amulet around my neck. I was very young when the old Taoist priest gave me this amulet, and I have no idea where he came from, but one thing is certain, he was truly powerful. I'll ask my mother about it when I go home for summer vacation. City W. I pressed the doorbell, and when my mother opened the door, I immediately pulled her into a tight hug. "Mom, I missed you." Having experienced the helplessness of being alone in my previous life, I now deeply understand the preciousness of family. During dinner, Dad came home. Seeing Dad standing perfectly fine in front of me, my eyes instantly welled up with mist. Looking at the towering pile of dishes in my bowl, a warm current flowed through my heart. The feeling of the whole family sitting neatly together at the dining table for a meal is truly wonderful. After dinner, the whole family lay on the sofa, chatting while watching TV. "Mom, do you still remember the old Taoist priest who gave me the amulet?" Hearing this, both my parents turned their heads to look at me, their eyes filled with emotions I couldn't understand. My heart tightened. In my memory, my parents had never looked at me with such expressions before. A full 5 seconds passed before the two of them snapped out of it. Mom's gaze fell on the amulet around my neck. "Why are you suddenly asking this?" Dad was also waiting for my answer. I blinked and looked at Mom. "My classmate said my amulet is very effective, and she wants to get one too." Hearing my words, the two of them visibly relaxed. "It's been too long, I can't remember anymore, but since it works, you should wear it properly." I touched the amulet and replied with a smile, "Of course, my lucky charm, I'll wear it for the rest of my life." Hearing this, Mom and Dad nodded with smiles on their faces, but I felt things weren't that simple. However, if wearing it all the time keeps me safe, then I'll just keep wearing it. During the summer vacation, I asked Lucas to help observe Kate's situation. They are all from City S, so it's more convenient for Lucas to visit Kate. Lucas told me that Kate is in excellent condition, which put my mind at ease. So it's true that wearing the sub-jade pendant can genuinely enhance one's fortune. As for Lydia, even if she suffers backlash, it's just the consequences of her own actions. So, I spent 2 months of a happy and carefree summer vacation at home with complete peace of mind. But alas, happy times always pass too quickly. I stood at the door with my suitcase, looking sullen. "Mom, if only I didn't have to go to school, I could stay home with you every day." This pleased my mother greatly, and she tempted me by saying, "If you really mean it, come back to find a job after graduation, marry locally, and stay by your parents' side for the rest of your life." I happily agreed. "Sure, I'll come back to find a job after graduation." My mother thought I was just trying to make her happy, but I truly meant what I said. Back at the school dormitory, I shared some local specialties from my hometown with my 2 roommates. "Thank you, Jessica, thank you." "Jessica, you're welcome." The moment I turned around, I felt an intense discomfort. I glanced back, looking at my roommate Bella's wrist. That emerald green bracelet gave me the same eerie feeling as the jade pendant, like a snake's eyes staring at me. "Bella, your bracelet is so pretty. Where did you buy it?" Bella patted her forehead. Look at my memory. This was a gift from Lydia. You have one too." As she spoke, Bella took out an identical bracelet from the box and handed it to me. "All 3 of us have one." Another roommate, Sarah, shook her wrist to show she was wearing hers too. I forced a smile. "Is that so? Lydia is really nice." After returning to my seat, I immediately sent Lydia a WeChat message to thank her and invited her to have lunch together, a Chinese-style restaurant near the school. I smiled gently as I served dishes to Lydia. "Lydia, thank you for the bracelet you gave me. I really like it, but it's too expensive." I feel a bit embarrassed. Lydia's eyes sparkled with pride as she said, "My family is in the jade and gemstone business. We have plenty of bracelets like this, so don't feel burdened." I nodded and gestured for her to help herself to the dishes. Hearing her words, I was secretly startled. Were such bracelets mass-produced? Noticing the empty space around her neck, I casually asked, "Why aren't you wearing your family heirloom jade pendant today?" Though Lydia didn't seem as radiant as when she wore the pendant, she still looked quite well. I wonder if it's because of the bracelet. Hearing this, her hand holding the chopsticks paused briefly, and a flash of anger crossed her eyes, but it was only for a moment, as she quickly adjusted her expression. "My mom said the family just imported a more beautiful jade pendant, so I stopped wearing that one. I'm waiting for my new pendant." I pursed my lips. Another new trick after parting ways with Lydia. I walk along the tree-lined path, my thoughts unsettled. Looking up, I notice almost every passing girl is wearing a bracelet. I quickly stop a female classmate. "Excuse me, where did you get your bracelet? It's really pretty." A female classmate told me she bought it at Lynn's Jade. With a mind full of doubts and unease, I arrived at Lynn's Jade. From the outside, the antique-style decor exuded a sense of quality, a sizable store with sophisticated, high-end furnishings and excellent taste. This must be Lydia's family shop. As soon as I stepped inside, a chilly draft sent an involuntary shiver down my spine. The dazzling array of jade and gemstones was enough to take one's breath away. At the center of the shop, a display cart featured top-quality bracelets on promotion, surrounded by a crowd of eager shoppers. "Madam, may I ask what you're looking to purchase today?" Raising my eyes, I saw a dignified and elegant middle-aged woman looking at me with a gentle gaze as she inquired. I stared at her blankly. She looked so much like Lydia. She must be Lydia's mother. Ma'am, it took her calling me twice before I snapped out of it. "I'm just browsing." The aura of this shop made me extremely uncomfortable, and my protective amulet was faintly heating up. Frowning, I walked toward the incense offering area between the first and second floors. The jade Maitreya Buddha at the center smiled at me. I was instantly creeped out. Whether it was an illusion or not, my amulet seemed to twitch slightly. "Madam, this Maitreya Buddha is the treasure of our shop. It's not for sale, but only gifted to those with a destined connection." Lydia's mother appeared by my side once again, still smiling warmly and kindly. She said, "Madam, we are connected by fate. If you're willing, you may exchange it with an item from your person." Suppressing the unease in my heart, I asked, "What can I exchange it with?" She glanced at my amulet. "The amulet you're wearing will do." Sure enough, everyone has their eyes on my amulet. "No need, boss. I'm just browsing casually." After leaving Lynn's Jadeite, I realized that the jade pendant might just be one of the methods for absorbing fortune. To completely resolve this matter, I must start with the Lincoln family. I texted Lucas the details on WeChat, and he told me not to worry. He would investigate the Lincoln family, but my right eyelid kept twitching nonstop. A week later, seeing more and more bracelets circulating in society, I couldn't sit still anymore. For the first time, I went to Lucas's dorm to find him. Some things I wanted to say in person. I was told that Lucas had gone out for field research with no definite return date. Walking along the tree-lined path beside the men's dormitory, my mind was heavy with thoughts. Not noticing the person ahead, I was knocked hard to the ground. Looking up, I exclaimed in surprise, "Damien." Jessica. Damien was also surprised. He helped me up with a tentative gesture, and as I brushed the dust off my clothes, I looked at the man before me. Only then did I notice that Damien's eyes were sunken, his spirit dazed, as if all his vitality had been drained, a state eerily similar to how I was in the later stages of my previous life. I frowned. Could it really be, as Lucas had jokingly suggested, that Lydia was some kind of succubus? I hesitated before speaking. Damien, have you been feeling unwell lately? Damien shook his head. The doctor said it's nothing serious. I had a gut feeling that his condition was somehow connected to Lydia, or perhaps the Lincoln family. I told him to get some rest and take care of his health, then left. I've been feeling restless all day, my roommate Bella, noticing my absent-mindedness these past few days, invited me to a newly opened dessert shop on WL Road. She smoothed out the wrinkles on my forehead with her hand. Cheer up, I'll treat you to a little cake. Artificially manufactured dopamine. Looking at Bella's kind and lively face, I felt a warm glow in my heart. But right now, it's rush hour, with heavy traffic and bustling streets. Just across the street, Bella pointed to the shop on the opposite side of the road, decorated in a soft pink hue. It looks nice, a macaron style design that lifts the spirits. Green light, let's go. I followed Bella, crossing the pedestrian crossing. Just a few steps away from the other side, I suddenly heard the roar of a car. Turning my head, I saw a vehicle charging towards me at full speed. As if out of control, unable to dodge in time, I looked in terror at the person in the driver's seat, someone who also seemed familiar. At the moment the car crashed into me, flashes of past and present lives raced through my mind. An intense surge of unwillingness throbbed in my chest, as if trying to break free from the cage of fate. A blinding white light flashed, searing my eyes. The deafening sound of two cars colliding filled my ears, and then, I lost consciousness, woke up again. The smell of disinfectant filled my nose as I stared blankly at the snow-white ceiling. Is this heaven? Jessica, you're awake. You scared me to death. Bella's joyful voice snapped me back to reality. I propped myself up. What happened to me? I moved my leg slightly. Ouch, it hurts so much. Bella held me down. Don't move yet, your leg was grazed by a car, and the wound has just been bandaged. Listening to Bella's chattering explanation, I roughly understood what had happened. When that car was about to hit me, Lucas suddenly drove another vehicle and rammed into it, flipping it over. That's why I only suffered minor scrapes. Lucas is fine too. He went to handle the aftermath. As Bella spoke, she burst into tears, her face full of guilt. I'm sorry, Jessica, if I hadn't asked you out for dessert, this awful thing wouldn't have happened. It's okay, I'm fine, aren't I? Don't overthink it, I said, wiping her tears to comfort her. But Bella is a homebody. That dessert shop had been open for less than 3 days. How did she know about it? Are you also thinking of taking me to eat delicious food? How did you know about that restaurant? Bella sobbed. It was Lydia. She said there's a newly opened dessert shop over there that's really good, so I thought of taking you. Suddenly, a series of images connected in my mind. The face of the man who hit me with his car overlapped with the face of the bodyguard I saw at Lynn's Jade, who was extremely respectful to Lydia's mother. My mood is somewhat heavy. This car accident was no coincidence. After Bella left, Lucas entered. His first words were, "Why didn't you reply to my message?" I just took out my bag and fished out my phone, only to realize Lucas had messaged me in the afternoon, telling me to stay in the dorm as much as possible. Recently, I came out with my roommate and didn't check my phone. Feeling gloomy, I shared my suspicions with Lucas, and he nodded. He said, "You're suffering because of your treasure." I was startled, recalling how Lydia's mother had wanted to exchange my protective charm. Could it be that they want to take my protective charm? Lucas nodded, his expression turning grave. I was shocked. The Lincoln family truly had the audacity to openly hire someone to run me over. I pursed my lips. So, they resorted to force when persuasion failed, and even employed such vicious methods. How do you know so much? And how did you arrive just in time? My life was essentially saved by Lucas, because I've been investigating the Lincoln family all this time. I've been keeping tabs on recent events, had people placed in the Lincoln household, and installed some covert surveillance. Lucas told me some things he recently found out about the Lincoln family. Lucas looked quite grave. I recently uncovered some secrets about the Lincoln family. Seeing how serious Lucas was, I knew it couldn't be anything good. What secrets? The Lincoln family originally gave birth to a stillborn child. That child was Lydia, but somehow, she came back to life later. I looked at Lucas in shock, feeling a surge of fear rising within me. We are all people around Lydia. How can we not be unlucky living with someone like that? Both of them were immersed in shock at that moment. My stomach growled at the most inopportune time. I felt a bit awkward, but Lucas didn't seem to mind. "I'll go out and get you something to eat," I nodded. As soon as Lucas left, my mother's video call came through. I answered the call, and when my mother saw me lying on the hospital bed, she anxiously asked, "My dear daughter, why are you in the hospital?" "Mom, I accidentally got brushed by a car today." Her mother frowned with concern. "Where are you hurt? Is it serious?" "It's nothing serious, just A slight scrape on the knee. I can be discharged tomorrow. Hearing this, Mother's expression relaxed a bit. I looked at Mother, hesitating to speak, but thinking of the Lincoln family's insane actions, my eyes darkened. The Lincoln family must be involved in some shady dealings. These matters are already beyond my capabilities. They have begun to recklessly plunder the luck of others. If this continues, who knows how many people will suffer, but if we can find that Taoist priest, perhaps there's still a chance to turn things around. So, I gritted my teeth and asked my mother, "Mom, do you really not know where my protective talisman came from? I want to go and ask for another one." Sure enough, upon hearing my words, my mother's brows furrowed, and her gaze through the screen fell upon my amulet. However, judging from her expression, it was clear she wasn't entirely unaware. "Mom, just tell me. The cinnabar on my amulet has faded a lot, and I want to go get a new one." At this, a flicker of fear and alarm flashed in my mother's eyes, her expression turning grave. After pondering for a while, she sighed in sorrow. "I only remember that after your grandfather took you to Moon Temple, he came back with that amulet. Your grandfather warned us that you must always wear this amulet. You are destined to face a fatal calamity, and the amulet will protect you from harm." Hearing my mother's words, I was greatly shocked. A death calamity. So in my previous life, I lost the protective talisman and experienced a death calamity. Grandpa, in my memory, that old man who always called me sweetie with a smile. Tears unknowingly slipped from the corners of my eyes. It must be Grandpa watching over me from heaven. This Moon Temple, I must visit no matter what. I wonder if the temple master Lucas mentioned is the same old Taoist from back then. My leg was just slightly scraped and healed quickly, so I set off on the journey to Moon Temple with Lucas. Since Lucas had been here once before, we arrived at Moon Temple without any trouble. There weren't many people offering incense, but the Moon Temple at the mountaintop truly had a magical power to calm one's mind. Accompanied by Lucas, I entered the main hall of Moon Temple, but after meeting the temple master, I was somewhat disappointed. I had no recollection of his face at all. He wasn't the old Taoist priest, Lucas, and I explained our purpose for coming to the temple master, asking for a solution and earnestly requesting his assistance. The temple master, with his immortal-like demeanor, stroked his beard and wore a grave expression. After a moment of contemplation, "This old man shall accompany you down the mountain." Upon hearing this, Lucas and I exchanged glances and immediately expressed our gratitude excitedly. "Thank you, Temple Master. You two benefactors may stay overnight at Moon Temple. Allow me to make some preparations, and we shall descend the mountain at dawn tomorrow." As the words fell, the old Temple Master closed his eyes and resumed striking the wooden fish, leaving me hesitating whether to speak. In my hesitation, the old temple master spoke. "Does the lady benefactor have any other matters?" I looked at the temple master, took out my protective talisman, and presented it before his eyes with both hands. "Have you seen this kind of protective talisman before? Do you know who made it?" Temple elder opened his eyes, and the moment he saw the amulet, a strange glint flashed through his gaze. Though fleeting, I keenly noticed it, yet he immediately closed his eyes again, expressionless. "No, I don't know." Hearing this, I felt somewhat disappointed. Lucas patted my shoulder, offering silent comfort. The next morning, the temple master, dressed in a gray linen Taoist robe and carrying a cloth basket on his back, descended the mountain with us. Just as we stepped down the first stair, I sensed someone watching me from behind the hall. I turned around abruptly, only to see leaves rustling and a bird taking flight. "What are you looking at?" Lucas asked me. I shook my head, feeling inexplicably down. The temple elder urged, "Let's go." After we left, two elderly men emerged from the grand hall, looking in our direction. "Why not go and meet them yourself? The worldly ties are already severed." Lucas took me and the abbot straight to Lynn's jadeite. "Jessica, you go in with the abbot. I'll find someone to coordinate from inside and out." I nodded. Watching Lucas leave, the Lynn family's jade business was thriving. As soon as the abbot and I stepped inside, Lydia's mother noticed us. Her expression changed slightly, but she steadied herself and stepped forward, smiling as she greeted them. "What would you two like to buy?" The temple elder looked at her expressionlessly. "We're not here to buy anything." Hearing this, Lydia's mother suddenly turned pale, her expression shifting dramatically. She dismissed the customers who were shopping and closed the door, with an unfriendly gaze sweeping over me and the Taoist priest. It finally settled on the priest. "What brings you here today, Reverend?" the priest said with a solemn expression. "All things in heaven and earth follow their destined course. To defy fate is to invite retribution." Upon hearing the priest's words, Lydia's mother's pupils contracted, revealing a trace of sorrow, but in an instant, her expression turned fierce. "And what if I insist? Benefactor, do not persist in your delusion." Lydia's mother curled her lips in disdain and raised her hand, signaling several black-clad bodyguards to emerge. I spotted a familiar face. "It's you, the one who hit me with the car." The bodyguards stared at me expressionlessly, but it was Lydia's mother who spoke, her gaze hostile as she said, "You're quite the survivor." I struggled to suppress my fury, staring at her coldly. "Justice is clear. You will face judgment." "Justice?" Lydia's mother laughed hysterically. "Go on, tell me. Which law have I broken? What can the law do to me?" Observing Lydia's mother in her half-delirious state, I scoffed coldly. "Utterly depraved." She reached out her hand to me, handed over, with a mix of threat and temptation. "If you obediently give up the amulet, I might consider sparing your life." The temple elder stepped forward, placing himself between me and Lydia's mother. Her eyes gleamed with malice, fixed intently on the temple elder. "Move aside." The temple elder stood firm. She shoved him aside but failed to budge him, instead falling to the ground herself. The abbot walked past her and headed straight toward the incense offering area between the first and second floors. Seeing this, Lydia's mother urgently shouted, "Stop him at once." At the same time, the doors of Lynn's Jade were forced open, and another group of bodyguards in different uniforms filed in, clashing with the Lincoln family's bodyguards. The abbot stopped before the statue of Maitreya Buddha, closed his eyes, and began chanting incantations. Suddenly, a yellow light came crashing down from above, but with a wave of his hand, the elder effortlessly resolved it. "David, turn back before it's too late." "Ha ha." The sound of a middle-aged man's laughter echoed from the staircase. A middle-aged man dressed in a suit descended the stairs step by step. "Senior brother, after all these years apart, you're still as talkative as ever." The middle-aged man stepped closer to Temple Elder, his eyes gleaming with malice. With a wicked smirk, he rotated his wrist. "Senior brother, it's been many years, shall we spar a little?" Then, the middle-aged man struck first, his hand shooting toward Temple Elder's face like a skeletal claw. I was shielded behind the bodyguards, watching as the Temple Master came under attack. My heart leaped into my throat, and I shouted, "Temple Master, be careful." The Temple Master leaned back swiftly, perfectly dodging the attack. Then the two engaged in a fierce confrontation. After several rounds, the middle-aged man was already coughing up blood at the corner of his mouth. He wiped the blood away, his lips curling into a sinister smile. A bright yellow talisman was cast forth. In the blink of an eye, thick smoke billowed. I looked at the smoke with great concern. "Abbot." The smoke gradually dissipated, revealing the abbot standing at the center. The middle-aged man fell to the ground in a disheveled state. The temple elder looked at him and said, "Evil has never triumphed over good since ancient times. You will pay for your wrong choices." The man laughed mockingly at himself, somewhat maniacally. "Ha ha ha ha. Evil never triumphs over good. But what have I done wrong? The sins of the father should not be visited upon the children. Why must I bear the punishment of heaven? I refuse to accept this. I will defy the heavens and change my fate, restoring peace to my Lincoln family for generations." The elder shook his head and looked at him, stubborn and unyielding. The middle-aged man bit his finger, glaring coldly at the elder. "Senior brother, you've forced me into this." A blood talisman rapidly expanded at a visible speed, enveloping the elder's head. The abbot's eyes were deep and solemn, sharply gazing at the middle-aged man on the ground who was laughing with a gaping, blood-stained mouth. As the middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood, the blood talisman hovering above the abbot's head plunged downward at the speed of light, under the witness of the crowd. The abbot's body was gradually consumed by the blood talisman. I stared blankly at the scene, tears streaming down the corners of my eyes, murmuring, "Abbot, I'm here." Hearing the voice, he suddenly turned his head to find the abbot appearing on the other side. The abbot waved his hand at the man on the ground, who then lay motionless with wide eyes. "Your parents sent you to Moon Temple to sever worldly ties, not to learn skills for wrongdoing. Face judgment now." Seeing this situation, Lydia's mother lunged at me like a madwoman. "It's all you. It's all because of you, you bitch. If you had just handed over the amulet, none of this would have happened." The bodyguard in front of me blocked Lydia's mother and pushed her to the ground. I looked at her coldly. "You've harmed so many people, consumed so much fortune, stolen others' lives. Instead of deeply reflecting on your wrongdoings, you blame others." Lydia's mother widened her eyes, staring at me with venom in her gaze. "It was you. You swapped Lydia's jade pendant." I showed no fear. "Yes, it was me." Hearing this, Lydia's mother struggled to stand up, her eyes looking as if she wanted to devour me. "You wretched woman, if you hadn't swapped the pendant, Kate's fortune would have been enough for Lydia to live out her life. So, it's you who harmed those people." I sneered. "What gives you the right to take away Kate's life? Heaven sees all, and divine justice will never let any evildoer escape. You will eventually pay the price for what you've done." At that moment, Lucas led the police in one after Another, the lead officer displayed his credentials and arrest warrant to the crowd. Lin's Jade is suspected of illegal money laundering. Please come with us. The middle-aged man lying on the ground was carried away on a stretcher. He stared fixedly at the temple master, wanting to say something, but no sound came from his throat. The temple master sighed. I will take her away, and she will never be allowed to leave the mountain for life. Hearing this, the man shed tears and stopped struggling. Lying still on the stretcher as the police took him away, Lydia's mother cursed and shouted, losing all dignity of a noblewoman as she was dragged away by the police in a disgraceful manner. After they left, the temple abbot once again approached the temple's treasure, the statue of the Maitreya Buddha, reciting incantations we couldn't understand. Boom, the sound of an explosion rang out. The Maitreya Buddha statue shattered in response, fragments scattering everywhere. Inside, a bright yellow talisman was revealed. The temple head took the talisman, ignited it with a touch of his fingertip, and in an instant, it turned to ashes. At the same moment, the eerie chill inside Jade suddenly vanished. I looked again at the jade pieces in the display case, no more discomfort, and my protective charm had stopped burning. Overjoyed, I turned with sparkling eyes to Lucas. No more energy-draining cursed objects from now on, right? Lucas nodded with a smile. At this moment, a noise came from upstairs. Lucas signaled the bodyguard to check, who then brought down a trembling Lydia. It turned out Lydia had been upstairs all along. Her face was filled with sorrow, her eyes downcast, and she remained silent. That middle-aged man is Lydia's father. The abbot fulfilled his promise and took Lydia away. Lucas sent someone to escort them back to Moon Temple. At school, I sat on the bench next to the playground with Lucas. Lucas told me about some things he had investigated during this time because the Lincoln family gave birth to a stillborn child, Lydia. They resorted to many sinister methods to prolong her life. I was puzzled. Can't they have another child? Why use such methods to keep someone who shouldn't remain in this world? Lucas shook his head. The Lincoln family has difficulty with offspring, and the same outcome would occur even if they tried again, so they resorted to forbidden arts. These evil arts were banned after the founding of New China. Perhaps their ancestors foresaw this calamity for the family and thus left a backup plan. What would happen if Lydia manages to survive in this lifetime? Then the fate of the Lincoln family would be rewritten. I pursed my lips. No wonder the Lincoln family would stop at nothing to help Lydia find the fortune. That was the Lincoln family's hope. They were a pitiful family. The punishment for their ancestors' misdeeds had fallen upon the descendants. My mood suddenly grew somewhat somber. Lucas patted my head and comforted me, saying, "Don't worry, it's all over now." I looked at the lively students on the distant basketball court and took a deep breath. Yes, everything has settled down. There are basically no classes left in the third year of graduate school. After 6 months of internship, the next time I saw Lucas was at the graduation defense. After the defense, we had a meal with the professors. After the meal, Lucas looked at me and said naturally, "Let me walk you back to the dorm." I smiled at him. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.